Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now it's always exciting getting new tools, but it's even more exciting in this case because this new set of wood turning tools by Record Power feature a brand new shape of handle. Now most tools have a round handle, but Record Power have been working with Sheffield Hallam University to develop a new ergonomic handle which apparently is easier to hold and requires less grip strength to be able to hold and control properly. Now there's two sets released. There's this set and a spindle turning set. I do have both, but we're going to take a look at this one this week. Okay, so let's start off by getting these guys out. Okay, right. Now there's 4 different tools in this box. Okay, so we've got 3/8 inch standard grind bowl gouge, another 3/8 inch gouge, but this one has the hybrid grind, so it's slightly longer on the wings. We have a dovetail tool, and we have a carbide tipped round scraper. Okay, so all the tools in the set, the ball turning set and the spindle set, all feature this new ProComfort handle. Now the shape, if you were to look at the end, it's kind of like a triangle, but very, very much rounded over. And it gives a kind of a ridge down the back of the handle, which seems to fit pretty nicely across the fingers. Okay, so I think the best thing to do with these now is to give them a go. Now we've got 2 different grinds on the ball gouges. We've got the standard grind and a hybrid grind. Now reading the literature, it states that these are easy to grind by hand. You don't need a special jig to grind them, so we'll give that a go as well in a little while. So what I've got to have a go on is a nice piece of brown oak. It's going to be nice and hard. It's going to be a good test for these tools. So I'll get this on the lathe and we'll get started. So we'll start off looking at the 2 bowl gouges. Now we've got 2 different grinds on these. We've got a 45° and a 60° grind. The shorter grind, the 45, is going to be ideal for finishing cuts and tighter radius. The longer grind on this one is going to be better probably for pull cuts and things like that. So we're going to start off with this one to help get this round and then start working up the edge. They both come nice and sharp out the box, so we don't need to worry about sharpening them quite yet, but we will take a look at that before the end. Okay, face shield is on and we're going to start turning at 900 RPM. Cuts nice and cleanly, certainly no surprises. Surface finish isn't too bad, but we weren't trying for finishing cuts. So we'll just start working up these corners with pull cuts and see how that gets on. Okay, first impressions are pretty good. Having that groove down the back certainly makes it very easy to index the tool position in your hand to make sure that you're always approaching the tool with the same angle on the tip. Now, pull cuts are ideal for removing a lot of material quickly, so the actual finish is not quite as clean as you would want it to be, but we're not looking for a finishing cut, we're just looking for clearing off material quickly. So I'm just trying, using the same tool, work up the side again, but slightly slower with a push cut, and see what kind of finish we can get on that. finer cuts there, and that has left a far better finish. I'm trying to look for tear out. You normally see it on the end grains, which is around here, and I can't see any. Probably a little bit around there, but that's the only bit I can see. Right, what we're going to try now is we're going to try the 45 degree, the shorter grind, and we'll go up again and see what difference that makes. There shouldn't be an awful lot of difference. The only difference for me is this one is not what I'm used to. My own personal grind preference is far more in tune with this one, so this one is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me, but we're going to give it a go anyway. Okay, despite not being used to this grind, that's done pretty well. That's left quite a nice finish. You could quite happily start sanding that at about 120, or I dare say even 180, to get a nice finish. Okay, so I want to be able to test the shorter grind when I'm hollowing this out to see how it performs on a tighter curve. So I'm going to quickly just raise this edge up just to give us a slightly more upright bowl, and then feather out this bottom bit as well. Okay, that was nice and easy to control. Now I'm just going to do a couple of things. I'm going to bring this foot in a little bit and start to create a tenon. The reason for doing that initially is to show you how the Dovetail tool works. Okay, we've just drawn a white line on here for the width that we want to make our tenon. Now if you look at the way jaws are designed, there's an angle between the top and the inside that isn't 90 degrees, it goes inwards, and that's a dovetail, and we're trying to create an angle on this piece which will fit and lock inside the jaws. Now the Dovetail tool is designed with this angle in mind. If we were to cut through like that, you'll notice that this angle directly compares to those on the jaws. So I'm just going to come in with this scraper and cut this dovetail here. Okay, that'll take a bit of getting used to. I've never used one of those before. But now hopefully you can see from this top camera that we've got an angle on here that will lock into those jaws and keep us nice and safe. So I'm going to quickly turn this away and then we'll put an internal recess. Okay, so using the same tool, we've now got an internal dovetail. So when we turn this round, the jaws will open up in the side there, match that angle, and gives a really, really strong, secure hold. Before I do turn it round, I'm just going to use the dovetail tool again, just to give us a couple of nice detail lines in there. Okay, before we start to use the ball gouges to hollow this out, I just wanted to take a quick look and have a quick go of the Carbide cutter. Now I'm going to primarily be using this for resin pieces because Carbide does make far cleaner cuts on resin as opposed to normal HSS steel. Now one thing that made me very, very happy when I opened the box was to see the thickness of this main shaft on here. That must be probably at least 3/4 of an inch. So it's going to be nice and robust, really, really strong. It's not going to give us any problems. It's a normal shaped Carbide cutter, which are nice and easy to replace and very, very easy to sharpen as well. So we'll just have a quick go of this now and just clean up this surface. Okay, cut nice and easily. Now, Carbide cutters like this are scrapers. You're not going to expect the cleanest of cuts because you are literally scraping away the surface. To turn it into more of a cutter, you can run that across at about 45 degrees or even maybe slightly more, and then it becomes more of a shear scrape. Let's try that. Okay, you can hopefully see it on camera, but that is a much better surface compared to that side. Not a massive amount of difference in general, but there is definitely a difference there. Okay, we're going to start hollowing out now. I'll start off with the 60-degree bowl gouge so we can remove plenty of material. We'll try a few pull cuts and push cuts, and then we'll move on to the 45 when we need to start worrying about tighter angles and finishing cuts on the corners. Okay, so that 60-degree angle certainly helped me remove a lot of material quickly. So now I'm going to use the 45 and just have a go at creating a nice tight curve in here and see how we get on. Okay, that was actually quite nice. I did struggle a little bit at the start getting it to cut properly, finding the correct angle to go in with, but like I said, I'm not really used to that shallow an angle of bowl gouge. But once I got the hang of it, it's all right. It's certainly a lot more controllable on these shallower angles than the 60 degrees angle. So rather than in the past I would have to swap over to a scrape to get into that corner, I might be able to use the 45 degree to keep the cuts nice and clean. I'll go in there with the Carbide and I'll show you the difference in the smoothness of cut. At the moment, that is, you know, a wonderfully fine finish, and that could be sanded again from about 120, 180, somewhere around there. But I'm just going to do exactly the same thing with the Carbide and see. I will try and get clean cuts, but we'll see if we can compare the two after. Okay, definitely rougher. You can see the tearing on it. It was still nice and controllable, no great problems. You just have to spend a little bit longer sanding, I think. Okay, I think for fun, I'm just going to quickly grab the carbide and flatten off this base. Let's remove that material. The carbides are certainly nice and easy to use. What I'm going to do now is quickly grab the 45, I think, do a nice fine cut on this rim, and then the final passes across the bottom. Okay, so that's the bowl pretty much finished. These two bowl gouges work together very, very well indeed. I am very impressed with the removal speed of the 60-degree grind, and I'm very impressed with the 45-degree grind, how much of a tighter angle I can get in to what I would normally be able to do. If this was deeper, then I would still be able to cope with it with this tool, whereas the 60-degree, there isn't a chance I'd get in there. I'd have to use a scraper or something like that. Now, these tools are fine, there's no problems at all, but they're not going to be any good to me unless I can keep the same grind on them. Now, Record Power claim that these can be done by hand without needing a jig, so I think that's our next port of call. Okay, so this is the sharpening system I use, which is the ProGrind system with CVM wheel. A normal process for sharpening is to get out this little tool, which will allow me to measure a 2-inch projection on my bowl gouge, and turn it on, put it into this jig, and then sharpen all the way around like that, and that'll give me a very, very specific shape grind on my gouge. Now, the grind on the two Record Power gouges are done in a similar way, but you don't need the jig in order to do it. All you need to do is set the correct angle on your tool rest, hold it against a wheel as it's turning, and then just rotate. The key thing to do is to make sure that this angle is the same as the angle on the tool. So loosen it off, make sure that the bevel is flat against it, tighten it, check again, then turn on, hold it flat against it, and then just rotate it. You don't want to be holding it hard against it, you just want to be gently touching it, otherwise you are going to start to get the tip too hot. If you are wanting to reshape this grind in any way, then you're best having a bucket of water close to hand so you can keep on cooling it as you go along. So we'll just give this one a go. And there we have it. I hope you can see it on camera, but that's a nice sharp tool. Okay, now you would never attempt to run your finger along a gouge that way because it will cut. What you're looking for when you're testing the sharpness is that you've created a small burr just on that inner edge. It's that small burr that actually cuts the wood, not the sharp edge. So if you just drag your finger across it as opposed to along it, you should be able to feel that burr. Right, let's do the other one. Okay, so there we go. Two beautifully sharp ball gouges, ready for the next turning. It's always fun getting new tools, but it's not often you come across something which is original in concept. This new tool handle shape really does feel good in the hand. It does feel secure. It's very easy to index, and it does make you feel that you do have complete control over where that tip is. What's been most interesting to me is this guy, the shorter 45-degree angle. Now, I've always been pretty much a kind of a one grind guy, which sounds like a very strange comment. I've always stuck with a fairly standard grind on my ball gouge, and I've been using it that way for the last couple of years. So to get to use a different grind was quite interesting. I did love the controllability of it. I love the way it cut. So I think going forward, I'm going to keep these two gouges exactly as they are and just regrind them the way I've shown you and use them in more of my work. This one especially. Now, the Carbide tip tool is going to be used in all my resin projects going forward. I've been wanting a good quality Carbide tool for the last few months, and I've held off buying one because I knew that this was coming out, and it's everything I could have hoped for. This little marking, you may not be able to read it, but that is the maximum overhang. The idea of that is that you don't want to have the tool rest any further up this handle. Okay, that's as far as you want to go. That's just to ensure that you've always got maximum stability. Carbide tips are absolutely fantastic for resin projects. They leave a far better finish than you can normally get with any kind of HSS tool. So this is going to get an awful lot of use. I think this one, the Dovetail tool, I think once I get the hang of it, it's going to be used for far more than just dovetails. You saw me create the patterns on the back of the oak bowl with it, so we'll be experimenting more with it to see what else I can do with it. Okay, so there we are. One last thing, on the back of all these tools there's a small QR code, and if you scan that with your phone, then it will take you to a website where you can see how these tools can be used. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, I sincerely hope you have, I would love a like and subscribe and all the usual things, and if you hit the notification tab as well, then you'll be notified as soon as we release the video where we're taking a look at the spindle turning set. That won't be far away, I promise. But apart from that, if you leave a comment as well, then you are going to be entered into the giveaway the next time we do one. So that's about it. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you.